lights go dim, it's time to find out what's within. Behind the camera, there's so much more. With Andy Games, let's explore. Behind the camera with Andy Games, meet the streamers, learn their names. Off the screen, who are they? Tune in now, don't delay.
Hello everybody, and welcome to Behind the Camera with Andy Games. This is the podcast where I interview people from the world of content creation and beyond with the sole purpose of getting to know the person a little bit better behind the camera. In this episode, I sat down with Katharine Giovanni, a 3-time award-winning best-selling author, speaker, and one of the original founders of the independent concierge industry. Katharine has authored over 12 books, including her latest release, The Ultimate Path to Forgiveness, Unlocking Your Power. Katharine's journey is one of remarkable resilience, surviving stage 3 breast cancer and overcoming the hardships of a turbulent childhood. Her experiences have shaped her deep understanding of forgiveness and personal transformation. Join us as she shares powerful insights and life-changing lessons that will leave you feeling inspired and empowered. Here is the interview. Katharine, welcome to Behind the Camera with Andy Games. Thank you so much for taking the time. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thanks so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Of course. I'm very much looking forward to hearing your story today. I know there's a lot to cover. It's safe to say you have lived.
I have.
So, as a writer of an author of 12 books and obviously much more, which we will get to, take us back to the start. How did you become a writer? What was like your inspirations behind this and how you got to where you are today?
Well, the fact that I call myself a mindset mentor or forgiveness coach, if you will, implies that the universe has given me more than enough things to forgive.
Of course.
So there's a little bit of water under the bridge. And it probably started, believe it or not, way back in the never mind what year it was. And I was in the 8th grade and I was terribly bullied in school because I was different. And my parents were very pickled. They were raging alcoholics. And so in 1974, there you go, I tried to commit suicide and a friend convinced me not to. She pulled me out. And so I turned into one of those kids, the kids I'm talking about. And I just kind of floated through life, to be honest with you, until I was older. And my mother fell down a flight of stairs. I was in my 20s at this point. My mother fell down a flight of stairs, broke her hip, and ended up in the hospital. And even my mother couldn't get a gin and tonic in the hospital. So she dried out and we sent her to rehab. And my mother and I spent the next 3 years tighter than sisters. We forgave each other. I got to know the real person and we were tight. We even lived together for a time. And then she died of breast cancer, which I actually got in 2012. And when she died, everybody on the planet has what I call flashpoints. And it's the one time your life changed. It might have been from a teacher. It might have been from a mentor. It might have been something, a traumatic event, but your life changed. And you don't know it's, a flashpoint when you're going through it, but hindsight is 2020. And I knew, because I'm intuitive, that if I didn't change my world, I was going to die too. I just knew it. So it was the only New Year's resolution I actually ever made, and I quit drinking. And I've been sober for 35 years now. And when you first quit drinking, remember, this was way before the turn of the century, which makes me sound like an ancient jalopy if I say that. It's an awful thing to say. But this was, when you first get sober, you're supposed to make amends. I was really shy. We didn't have technology. If I'd had texting, it would have been brilliant. I would have loved to text these people, but we didn't have it. You had 2 choices. You could call them up on the phone. There was no video calls or anything and risk getting yelled at, or see them in person and risk getting yelled at. Your girl didn't want to do either one. So I started forgiving people all by myself in my apartment. And I didn't tell anybody. I just kind of did it. And I unexpectedly tapped into the first part of the system I've actually now developed, and forgiveness. And it just kind of went from there. And I'm a serial entrepreneur. I've created a lot of businesses. And at one point, I started forgiving people in my past, in my family, and my business bottom line started to increase. And I went to college and I read a lot, and I couldn't understand why forgiving something in my personal life directly related to my business bottom line. Yet it did. So I kept going. And now I have a system that people could use to actually forgive, because everybody tells you to forgive your parents, your teachers, your pastor. Okay, how? How?
Yeah.
Nobody teaches you how. And what if you don't want to? So on a 10 scale, with 10 being absolutely horrific, unforgivable, and 1 being the easiest person in the world to forgive, every single person watching and listening to this broadcast, everybody's thinking of their number 10. Everybody, hands down. And you don't want to forgive that person. And that's fair. And I'm the only one in the world that's going to tell you you don't have to. Why? Because there's a lot of people, places, and things. And I did say places and things. Don't click off. Stay with me. That you can forgive before you even get to that dumpster fire.
Yeah, of course. Like, honestly, your experience in terms of how you got to where you are now, like, it's
Right.
been through the ringer, to sort of say the least. Like, where do you begin with all of that? Like, it's quite interesting how experiences such as that shape people,
Yeah.
because like when you break it down, it's kind of, you're looking at it like one or two ways. You go the same direction, or you kind of break out and, well, go the path that you have, when you look at it like that, and the path of forgiveness, the path of, okay, this is maybe the type of person I don't want to be, these are the experiences I don't want to have. How can I sort of um make a better situation for myself? And I mean, from what you said, by the answer of that is forgiveness.
Well, as I grew up, it was. When I was a kid, my answer was, and I was correct, but I looked at my family and I thought, if I just do everything the opposite of what they're doing, I should be fine, which is actually not too bad for an adult. But when you're a kid in the eighth
Yeah.
grade, adults don't like you to do that. They
No.
kind of they get a little angry about it. So it didn't really work out for me when I was a kid. It used to get me into terrible trouble. And I was right, but it didn't work out. It kind of got angry. The thing about forgiveness is nobody shows you exactly how. And if you don't want to, and if it's unforgivable people, they're a bear. I mean, it's hard. And that's the problem with forgiveness, because when they look at the word, their knee-jerk reaction is going to the worst pain you've ever had.
Yeah.
And you don't want to forgive that worst pain. It may not be appropriate to forgive that worst pain. And you may not even be able to if it's something really bad and traumatic. So my theory is, well, let's start on the other end. Let's start with the person who took your parking space at the grocery store yesterday. Let's start with the person who took your sandwich out of the company fridge yesterday at lunch, and you were really hungry. Start with those people.
Yeah. Of course. Yeah, like, because at the end of the day, that even those like menial things like that can really have, especially if you have a lot of bottled up trauma and perm experiences that you haven't exactly acknowledged, or you've maybe just stuffed down there thinking that, okay, it's from years ago, it doesn't matter anymore. That's when you kind of realize, it's because whenever these little things happen, that's when you realize I have a lot of unresolved issues that I need to address head on here. And like, I certainly think it is a matter of, this was like what you were saying before, like, you had to kind of face these things on. You did it from the comfort of your own home without texting and all, but you have to acknowledge it. You have to bring yourself back to that place, and just, you don't want to do that. But it's actually quite interesting, like the sort of shift in perspective that you have, especially like from being a child, where you can't necessarily, well, you can, but it doesn't really kind of help the situation, just kind of makes matters worse. But then when you get older, have a bit more life experience, you can't. But a very good friend of mine, he had like a turbulent childhood. Now, without getting into too much detail, but he had a turbulent childhood and became sort of a little bit of a rebel in his teenage years, in his high school years. And he was in a group therapy session. This is what he was telling me. He was in a group therapy session for, I think it was centralized for younger people.
Right.
And obviously he had like a big chip on his shoulder. He didn't really want to address his problems, but he was there. I think it was maybe like mandated by his high school or something like that. I'm not too sure. But he had all these problems. He didn't want to talk about just things like alcoholism and abuse and stuff like that. But just it was the world against him kind of thing. He hated everything and everyone. But there was this like younger child there who was maybe like 8 or 9 years old, and they were absolutely grief stricken, um, inconsolable, because they saw a dead cat in the road, and they were really, really experiencing like such a heavy level of grief. And he turned, and that was like the sort of switching point for him, because at that point he was like, well, we're in here for totally different reasons, but
Right.
it's just as valid that he is there, and like that's okay. Which is again, that's not necessarily the place everybody goes to, but it kind of shows that how powerful a tool that can be, like that kind of little sort of change in perspective.
Yeah. Let me give you a visual that might help everybody. And if you're listening, I'll talk you through it. I'm holding a purple teacup to the right side of my body. Now, this purple cup can represent anger, and it can represent grudges, and it can represent all sorts of bitterness, sadness. And it's fine. Look, I can manage it. I can easily, it's not that heavy yet. But humans irritate other humans. And if I don't release something from this cup, in other words, if I don't forgive something in this cup, I'm going to continue to pour more anger, more bitterness, and more grudges into it, because we irritate each other. Families irritate us, work, all sorts of things. So now I'm using two hands to hold up to the cup. Now, my life hasn't stopped exactly, but it's starting to interfere with my life, isn't it? Look at my body language. It's kind of
Yeah.
starting to chip me up, and I'm starting to talk about it now. It's starting to get into my head. And if I continue to hold on to the cup and I continue to pour more stuff into it, and this tells you why we really do need to forgive even the easy ones, is now I'm holding it in front of my face. I'm missing things. I can't see anything. I can't even see you. I'm missing my dream job. Why? Because I'm all about my anger. It's all I can think about. It's all I can see. It's all I can breathe about. And I'm missing opportunities. I'm missing money-making opportunities, relationships, all sorts of things, because I can't see them. I'm not paying attention to it. So by forgiving, using my 7-step system, and I'll go through the system with you, using the system, then it's going to allow you, by forgiving just the easy people, the person who you got road rage with, on the interstate. I don't know what you call it over there.
The motorway here.
A motorway. Okay. Now look at my body language. It's back over to the side, and I can breathe again. I could see opportunities. I still haven't forgiven my number 10 unforgivable person, have I? I've forgiven the easy ones, but look at my life. I'm not sick and tired anymore, and I'm able to walk around. And if you keep working the system, eventually now it's gone, and I've got both hands free.
Yeah.
You're never going to be done, because humans really do irritate other humans. And there's always going to be somebody you can forgive, but you can get enough of the anger out of your body that you can breathe again and you can live again.
Yeah, of course. Like absolutely sort of solid perspective on things, because I think, to go back to your point about, you're never really taught how to forgive.
Nobody's
And
taught.
yeah, and when people are sort of like told to forgive somebody, or they maybe think themselves that I should forgive this person, in my head personally, for me, the first thing that I think of is like, if you feel like you can't forgive somebody, it's like, well, then you're letting them get away with pain that they caused you. But that's again not really, it's that doesn't tell all the story. But I feel like that could be a sort of potential challenge that people might face. But so from your experience, then what sort of challenges do you feel like people would face when it comes to forgiveness, solely from not knowing how to forgive?
There's a couple principles out there that everybody follows that are wrong, with all due respect. You just hit one of them. So here's a couple. Just because I forgive you doesn't mean I want a relationship with you. I probably don't. I really don't. I doesn't mean I'm going to all of a sudden, go ask you out to dinner again. I think they call it ghosting now today. I'm
Yeah.
still going to, I have things in place that I really don't want to forgive you for you. I'm forgiving for me. Just because I forgive you doesn't mean I'm giving you a pass. It doesn't mean I'm saying you were right and I was wrong. It doesn't mean I'm giving in all of a sudden. It doesn't mean I'm being weak.
Yeah.
I think this stemmed from our childhood when we were kids in the playground, and some kid punches you in the eye and the teacher comes over and says, now children, forgive each other and go off and play. And in your head, you're thinking, well, I don't want to forgive them. They just punched me in the eye. But they make you forgive each other and they make you go off and play. And I think we all connected some unseen dots that should have never been connected. So just because they forgive you doesn't mean that you were right. You're still wrong. You still have to make amends, and I still don't want to talk to you or know you. Forgiveness, for me, the formal definition means simply, I want you out of my head. That's it. I want you out of my head. That's what it means. You don't have to reach out to the person, so it's not like, it's not like recovery. You don't have to talk to these people. You can do it in the privacy of your own home. It means I want you out of my head.
Yeah.
And that also means you can forgive dead people. Because where they are or are not doesn't matter at all. If they're alive and well in your head, it can be forgiven. So here's your chance to get closure on something that maybe you couldn't get closure because they've already passed. So you're getting these people out of your head, which is going to allow room so you can breathe again.
Yes, you know what? That's incredibly interesting insight, and I think it's something that a lot of people don't really realize, because it's, as you say, it's like what's instilled from us as children. When you forgive each other, that's kind of, life goes on. You kind of
I
go
don't
off
want
and
to
play.
forgive you. You just hit me in the head.
Yeah.
No.
Exactly.
Why do I want to forgive you? But they make you, because you're what? You're 3. They make you do it. But in your head, you're going, well, that wasn't fair. And an adult will come over and say, well, life isn't fair. Okay, not helpful to a kid, but that's what we were taught.
Yeah. And it's still true. Like, it is not fair in aspects of that. I think sometimes the fact that you have to forgive people for certain things kind of just is testament to that. So something else that depends on what it is.
You do and you don't. I'm going to talk about, I'll go through the system so you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And I'm going to teach you how to forgive the unforgivable.
I love that.
And the unforgivable might even be yourself.
Yeah, that's very true.
Yep.
Something that I've been curious about, excuse me, just from just on the topic of forgiveness, something that I've always found with people is that they may have regretted, like, how somebody acted towards them back in, like, school days, for example, like, talking grown-ups here, going back 20 plus years, to a point where, well, actually, let me rephrase. I think a phrase that gets kind of like tossed around in that is, these things that have happened, you're the only person who is going to remember that. And do you think that in that sense, that's the kind of stops people from forgiving others, or do you think it kind of could potentially, like, eat somebody up in that sense, if that makes sense?
It does make sense. Things that happen in your childhood do affect you today. If you're thinking of a person from your childhood right now, it probably should go down on the forgiveness list that we're about to create, because you're thinking about it. See, in the back of your mind, I'm going to talk about this closet more, but there's a closet in the back of your mind because your mind protects you. And it's padlocked. But there's a movie playing back there that you don't know exists. And if you knew it existed, you would turn it off, but you don't know it's there. And it's stuff from your childhood. It's stuff that happened to you over the years. And the movie is just affecting your life, and it's playing constantly until you turn it off. This vehicle is one of the ways to turn it off. So I want you to be alone in a room when you do this. I would really prefer you use that magic button that's on everybody's phone. It's going to make some of you visibly twitch. I would really like your technology to be off. There's an off button on it. If you're visibly twitching at just the thought of turning your phone off, then I just mute it. And I don't want it to vibrate because if it dances on your desk or something, you're going to want to see who it is. So just mute it and just turn the volume off on everything. And I think all little and big humans, I want them out of the room. Your dog and cat can be in there, but I really just want you alone for a little bit, maybe a half hour or so. And then I want you to take a pad of paper and a pen. Again, I know who I'm talking to. And there's a reason I want you to do it the old-fashioned way. Years ago, they studied some kids. They actually followed these kids through the years. It was at Harvard University in the United States. And they told half the class to say their goals out loud to the room. The other half of the class, they said, write your goals down on a piece of paper. They followed the kids through the years. The kids that wrote their goals down on a piece of paper were twice as successful as the kids who didn't. So there's something magical that happens when you actually physically write it with a pen. Yeah. And if you're really fighting me and twitching, yeah, go ahead, get your technology out and do it that way. You know, at the end of the day, it's fine. I want you to write a list of people you need to forgive. Now, the people who are unforgivable, who hurt you the most, will be the first few names on the list. That's fine. That's fair. That's great. Write them down. Don't judge the names. Just write them down. But keep going. Think about what you did yesterday. Think about your childhood. Think about when you were in your 20s or your teens. Think about that kid who stole your paper right before class and you got an F because they stole your paper. Whatever. Write these things down. And then once you get your list, I want you to rate them from 1 to 10. 10 being horrific, 1 being super easy. Now you could have 20 number 7s. I don't care. You could skip a number. I also don't care. But what I do care about is I want you to start with the easy ones, all the ones you label a number 1, and then work your way up. Here comes the special sauce. I want you to imagine the person, sit in your bed, put your hand in your chest, because I want to remind you to speak the words from your heart, right? The words are just for us. It's the energy behind the words that mean the most. I want you to imagine the person who's standing in front of you. If it's a kid from grammar school, okay, you're not going to have much to say, but I don't want you to imagine the adult. I want you to imagine the original kid. See them in your mind. And if you want to talk to them, you're alone in a room. You can say anything you want. Cry, scream, laugh, throw a book at them. I don't care what you do. You're alone. Say whatever you want. Get the closure. But if it's a level 1 person, you're probably not going to need to do anything because it's really simple. Yeah. And then I want you to say, and here's where the magic is. I completely forgive Andy. I completely forgive the energy around Andy. I completely forgive myself. I forgive the energy around myself. I forgive the energy around the entire relationship. And so it is. Amen. And then check in with your body. Did the number 1 person, is it a 0 now? Great. Cross them off. Go on to the next name. Was it a level 3 person and you're still kind of angry? Okay, put a 2 next to it. Wait 24 hours. Go to the next one. This happened to a really good friend of mine, and she was with me when it happened. It was a level 4 person. She said what we just said, and it went up to a level 10. She visibly got angry. What happened? Well, that closet in the back of her mind, that mantra was the magic password that opened the damn thing. And your brain is a really great tool. It protects you like an overprotective best friend. And she just said the magic words and it opened up the closet and flooded her with memories. Forgiveness is like an onion, and she forgave the first layer. There's a lot more levels underneath that first one that you have to go through. And that's what happened. So she labeled that 4, went to a 10. She put a 10 by the name, waited 24 hours. We'll do it again. Energy is the key here. I get people coming to me all the time, Andy, that's saying, I did forgive them. I did the work, but I keep getting triggered. Yeah. How do I stop getting triggered by things that I see? Or I go to Christmas and I see them at the party and, that's it. It all comes roaring back to me. It's the energy. Einstein clearly proved that energy is neither created nor destroyed. It just transforms from one thing into another. It never disappears. And when you get angry, everybody assumes, in fact, nobody assumes, nobody even thinks about it. But when you get angry, everybody just kind of assumes it just dissipates into the universe. It does not. It stays in your energy field until you clear it. Scientists have also proven that everything on our planet has an energy field around it, including my little silver microphone. So you can actually clear the energy, and that's what's tying you from one person to another. So by clearing the energy, you're actually going to be able to free yourself from it and get them finally out of your head.
It's interesting that sometimes, like you said, with the layers, there is more depth sometimes that
There's a lot
you
of
don't
depth to
even.
some of this stuff.
Yeah, like more depth than like some people realize in terms of they think they have it, but then all of a sudden it just brings back more and more, and it's like you say, your brain is protecting you. But do you think that there's obviously there's the age old phrase forgive and forget? Like
Okay, let's talk about that before you move on. I'm originally from New York City. I live in the south of the United States now, but I'm originally from New York. And I can promise you with 100% certainty, none of us are able to forget. We don't forget.
I agree.
We just don't. It's in our DNA. So what really happens when you forgive somebody, I can promise you that it will remove the emotional charge. You're not going to think good. You're not going to think bad. You're actually not going to care.
Yep.
A couple of years back, I've had a lot of business partners, and usually when I saw this person on Facebook or social media, you'd have to pry me off the ceiling because my brain would go back immediately and I would relive it and I'd get upset. This particular day, I had done the forgiveness work on her, and I had gotten her from, whatever, level 7, and I'd actually gotten her all the way down. Took a while. It was a marathon, not a sprint. Took a few weeks. And I saw her name and I didn't care. And I caught myself and I sat here and I thought, wait a minute, I don't care. I even wished her a happy birthday. I didn't care. It was so liberating. I finally realized I was free. I didn't care. That's what this system is going to give to you. I can look back at my dysfunctional childhood and I can regurgitate all the horrible things that happened if you want me to, but I remember the love there. I remember the people that were trying to help that kid in the 8th grade. I remember the love. And that's what I remember now. I haven't forgotten it. My perspective has changed and I'm remembering different things. And if there wasn't any love in your childhood, that's fair. But you'll still be at peace because you're not going to think about it anymore.
Yeah.
You're not going to watch a movie and your brain is all of a sudden going to go back there. It's just not.
Yeah, absolutely. And what I find like really intriguing is there is this sort of human reaction that we all have whenever we see a person from our past or see their name, like as you'd said, and you just like freeze up, you dry mouth, sweat and everything. It's like borderline panic attack. Like, and what I find most interesting is the fact you don't even need to like talk to the person physically to be able to like, and I think that's something that is like incredibly slept on.
You're alone in a room.
People, yeah, because like I can give you like a personal situation of mine, like if you don't mind, but like an ex-partner of mine from now this is going back some years, like 9 to 10 years ago. I was in an abusive relationship, right? And it was one of those, I didn't realize it at the time until after the fact, but after we had split up, like I saw her in the street one day. So across the other side of the road, she didn't see me, but I saw her, and I couldn't get away quick enough because out of fear of something being said or whatever it might have been, something
brain
being
stops,
done.
right? I mean, your whole body stops.
Absolutely, yeah. And it's the sort of thing like this person to me is a 10 on the list. Is a 10 on the list, right? But it's one of those things I can easily talk about it and I don't get like sort of emotional about it. It's the sort of thing, do I care that it happened? Yes. Am I affected by it now? No. But I feel like if I was to see this person, like, just across the street, it would all come flooding back. And it's like sort of like that kind of interested sort of thing, how we think we are fully detached from a situation to the point where we don't care, but then what these sort of trigger points are, it's just so fascinating.
I can help with this.
Please do.
This is what I call the unforgivable. How do you forgive the unforgivable? Now, to be fair, there are certain things out in this world that are truly unforgivable.
Mm-hmm.
There might be a unicorn person somewhere out in the world that can forgive this stuff. I'm not your girl. I probably couldn't. Some real trauma, a real bad trauma like murder or rape or something. I mean, something really bad. But I'm going to use my own life as an example. Let's take the bullies in school. That one bully was clearly a number 10. So I was so angry. And my father was a number 10. I was so angry. I couldn't forgive the bully or my father. In fact, I was so angry. I couldn't even forgive the energy around these people. I didn't want to. So I picked apart the memory. Remember, science has taught us that everything on our planet has energy around it. So you can clear other things within the memory. We'll take the school. I picked apart one memory, and I forgave my school building. Not kidding. I forgave the energy around the school. I forgave the desk I sat in, the chair. I forgave the teacher, the classroom, the playground, the kids that stood around and didn't help me. And then I checked in with my body. Was I really able to forgive the bully? No. Okay, I kept going. I actually did forgive New York City, and I forgave 1974. I completely forgive 1974 and the energy around 1974. Actually said it. So here I tried to commit suicide. And then I checked in again to see if I could forgive the bully that kind of started the whole thing. And I wasn't able to forgive the bully or the energy, but by picking apart the memory, I'd gotten it down to a 9. Progress.
Yeah, absolutely.
So then I picked another memory and I pulled it apart again. And I was finally able to forgive the energy around the bully and make my first pass at forgiving the bully. Did I really mean it? Probably not, but I made my first pass.
Yeah.
And then that forgiveness onion on this particular person, eventually, with a lot of time, you can't get a 10 down to a 1 overnight. It's not going to happen. It's going to take a minute. But I was actually able to get that person all the way down. So let's use another example. I'm using the example Martha because I don't have an Aunt Martha. So it's safe. Let's say, and my mother, God rest her soul, said every family's the same, only the names are different. So we all have an Aunt Martha. She drinks. She's a terrible alcoholic. I mean, a real, a nasty alcoholic who loves to push people's buttons. And because she's an alcoholic, she kind of smells. She doesn't shower a lot. And every Christmas, your parents, for better or for worse, for some reason, you're always sitting next to her most of the time. And she loves to piss you off. Excuse my language, but she does. And she knows the buttons. And it takes you a week to get up the mental capacity to go to this family event. And then it takes you 2 to 3 weeks to decompress because it was so awful. So it's like a whole month of mental, somersaults. So what do? Okay, a couple months before you have to go to this thing, I want you to pick your favorite Aunt Martha memory. And then I want you to pick apart the memory. I want you to, and I'm serious, I want you to forgive the table you sat at, the energy around the table. I want you to forgive the chairs. I want you to forgive the room, the building, the people. You haven't forgiven Aunt Martha. You may never be able to forgive her, but you're picking apart the memory. Then check in and see how angry you are, and then pick another memory and do it again.
Mm-hmm.
But by the time you get to Christmas, and sure enough, you're sitting next to Aunt Martha, what's going to happen? Nothing. Your number 10 memory might be down to a 4 or 5 at this point, and she's not going to be able to press the buttons. You're not going to care. In fact, you're going to expect it. You know she's going to press them, but you knew that she was going to press them before. And it bothered you. This time it doesn't bother you.
Yeah.
It doesn't bother you. In fact, it might be very entertaining for you. I mean, I have a very dark sense of humor.
No,
and the
for
more
sure.
and the more angry she gets because she's not getting the reaction she usually gets, the more entertaining it'll be for me. Because I know what I'm doing. I'm turning into Susie Sunshine from Sunnybrook Farms, and it is pissing the woman off. And the family around the table, they're not getting the reaction they usually do either.
I like that.
So you're picking apart the memory.
Yeah.
Now, here's some more science for you. There's another saying that people bandy around without even thinking about it. Anger is toxic. Okay. I think we can all see that anger is toxic. It, causes stress. Stress kills. How? I'm a big believer in how. Well, here's the how. You could Google this. It's right online. It's called the Japanese Water Study by a guy named Hasumoto. I can't pronounce and remember his name particularly, but if you Google Japanese water study, the pictures will be right there.
Yeah.
What the guy did, in the interest of time, I'll say it fast. He studied 2 containers of water. 1 container of water, all he did was talk to it. I'm serious. That's all he did. He said these beautiful, beautiful words to it. The other container of water, hate. The most hateful things anybody could say. Then he froze the water and he put them under a microscope. The water he spoke love to had these beautiful formations, these crystal, gorgeous, snowflakey kind of things. The water he spoke hate to had these black and brown kind of sickly, disease-looking formations. Why am I telling you this? Your body is 95% water.
Yeah.
So when your self-talk is bad, when you're filled with anger and you're filled with regret and all of these other things, what do you think you're doing to the water cells within your body? You're literally making yourself sick. So by forgiving even the easy ones, even the ones that you almost don't remember, you're literally going to be changing your body chemistry from the inside out, and you're going to start to feel better.
I like that. I like that a lot. I also like the fact as well that forgiveness doesn't have to be towards a person. It can be to like an intangible object. It can be to an experience, an energy, things like that. And I think that's important because obviously with negative experiences becomes association as well. You can associate, like, in your case, 2012, for example. You associate that, like you told me when you had breast cancer at that point.
I actually forgave breast cancer, the energy around breast cancer. I forgave chemo, the chemo chair, the chemo infusion, radiation, the radiation table. I forgave the 10 operations. I forgave all the doctors and nurses who poked and prodded. And did it get rid of the cancer? I'm cancer free now, but it helped my mindset. It helped me. It helped remove all of the negativity. It helped me get through the disease and it helped me recover.
Yeah, of course.
It was mindset.
Yeah, because had you not done that, you might look back and think, "Oh, that was a terrible time," and shut away from it, not want to speak about it. But I love the fact that it does extend from just people. Would you say then it has to first come from within? Like you have to forgive yourself for things first before, or is that on like a bit of a different wavelength?
If you can't forgive yourself, then put yourself a number 10 or a number 8 and save it for last.
Okay.
If you're watching this broadcast and you're thinking, I legitimately don't have anything to forgive. I love it when people say that. Okay. I have 2 answers to that question. First, every night before bed, I want you to say 3 times in a row for the next 5 to 7 nights. I completely forgive myself for not being able to forgive and the energy around this thought. Say that every night for a week. What's it going to do? It's going to open up that closet. And when the closet opens, you're going to start to remember things. Write them down. Then rate them from 1 to 10. There's worksheets and stuff in the book too. But then I have people who I had one guy come to me, and he was in person, really did say this to me. And he said, I don't agree with you. Okay. Why? He said, well, I really don't agree. Okay, bring it. I like it. Go ahead. I'll play. Let's play. He said, I've made a lot of money. Well, now I'm a customer service and concierge trader by trade. So I've learned how to mask what I'm thinking. But in my head, I'm going, so, that kind of thing. And he said, I have a lot of companies and a lot of houses. Okay. I'm smiling, but in my head, I'm going, go on. Right? And he said, I made my money on a bed of hate. And it's my platform. It's who I am. And I built my career around this guy. Okay. Let's talk about it. Sure. There's 2 trains you can take. It's the local and the express. Both trains will get you to your destination 100%. But the local train will stop at every stop. And the local train is like going into a hotel or an office building, and you're going up to the 75th floor, and some punk kid just exited the elevator and pressed every single button between 1 and 75. And you have to stop at every single floor. It's all happened to us. And by the time you get up there, you're like a vision of your former self.
Yeah.
You're bloodied and you're not feeling too good. So you can take that local train if you want to, but when you rather get on the express, love and forgiveness will get you twice as far, twice as fast than that little train of anger will.
Yeah, of
And you
course.
don't even have to forgive all of you. You don't even have to forgive the high number of people. You can just forgive the easy ones and you'll start to feel better. But let me play devil's advocate. Remember those water cells?
Yep.
Well, I want you to do this practice at night before you go to bed because your body heals itself when it's sleeping. And I really don't want you to do more than 10. And if you do a high level person, like somebody you've rated at 8, 9, 10, I only want you to do one of those a night because do as I say, not as I did. I do my own exercises. I am my own guinea pig. And I am an overachiever. Shocker, I know. And I had this list of, let's say, that we had, I swear it had to have 50 people on it. And I thought, this is going to be great. I'm going to be like a phoenix rising from the ashes. I'm going to be a new person when I wake up tomorrow and all this crap is going to be gone. Right? Well, the universe has a really good sense of humor. And I did forgive many people on the list, but it didn't end up the way I thought it would because I ended up in bed with what everybody thought was the stomach flu for the next 3 days.
Oh, wow.
Because your body can mitigate about 10 people, but remember those water cells?
Mm-hmm.
Well, you're transforming the water cells. They have to go someplace, people. And a lot of the time, your body heals itself when it's sleeping. So when you do this practice, you're probably going to get really tired. Most people do, which is why I want you to do it after dinner when you're home. Some people feel their shoulders get lighter. Some people feel energy in their solar plexus. They really do. I do. And you kind of feel kind of a shift when you forgive somebody. I mean, you really forgive somebody. You can kind of feel it. Some people, delicately put, are in the bathroom for a little bit. You didn't eat a piece of bad fish. It's just your body is trying to cleanse itself of all that toxic garbage that's been in your body for a very long time. It's in your cells and it just has to get rid of those cells. But if you do about 10 at night, you probably won't be in the bathroom. Your body will be able to mitigate it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Of course, that makes sense. Makes sense because when you get over emotional about certain things, it takes a physical toll. Like whether it be you cry about something, you have a panic attack, for example. All of these things are admittedly different and are caused by different things, but they do fall under the umbrella of emotional overstimulation, right? So,
Sure.
like, yeah, that makes 100%. That makes sense, like 100%. And it's like such an interesting practice as well because to go back to the main point, like people don't know how. People don't know how, and like it's incredibly insightful.
I don't know why. Why should I forgive?
Yeah.
What's it going to do for me? Well, it's going to get rid of the water cells, and going back to the glass, you're going to start to feel better. But here I can play devil's advocate again. Certain things are going to happen to you when you start to forgive, even the people you label a 1, 2, 3, or 4.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to start to look different. Your energy is going to start to look different to people. They're going to notice. And they're going to say, did you lose weight? Did you get a new hair? What sounds different about you today? You look so good. And you can either tell them or not. It's completely up to you. And also, like energy attracts like energy. So you're going to be attracting new people into your life, better people, forward-thinking people who are now thinking like you. Fantastic. That's what we want. You're attracting opportunities. But on the other side of the coin, you're going to do the opposite. You're going to have what I call jackrabbits. I had several. I've still not seen from them to this day. They just, one day they were there, the next minute, ghosted me. Never heard from them again. And these were really close friends of mine. Never heard from them again. Just gone. Then you're going to have the saboteurs, usually family, people you live with, people who are really close to you, and they're going, I like the old Katharine.
Mm-hmm.
That's who I'm used to. I don't want you to change. I want the one that's been around for years. So I'm going to sabotage it. There's a very famous motivational speaker called Jim Rohn who says you are the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Now's your opportunity to really decide who do you want to spend your time with. The forward moving people that are kind of running with you, or the people who are trying to sabotage you. It's completely your choice.
Yeah, it's very interesting, and it's one of the things that's got me thinking about a lot of people like from my past, and kind of like the people who've come and gone in life, and the people who, like, old colleagues who I'd have spent a prolonged period of time with, for example. Kind of
Right.
think, like, I mean, I look back and maybe there is an element that I do need to forgive in terms of that, but at the same time, it's like there is this element where I'm like, I am probably never going to see these people again, and I don't
Probably
care,
not.
and I don't care. Like, it's kind of crazy. Like,
But if a name pops into your head and you don't even remember the name, maybe you remember the face,
mhm,
put them on the list.
yeah,
And if you don't remember the name, that's fine. The redheaded person when I worked for whenever, that's fine. And forget the obviously that person will be a level 1, and that's fine.
yeah.
But there's some part of you, there's some part of your brain that really wants you to toss that. So don't judge the list. Just keep, just write the name down and toss it. And if you don't remember exactly who it is, well, that's brilliant, isn't it? Because there'll be a level 1. It'd be super easy to forgive, and you can just keep going. It'd be super easy, like really easy.
Yeah, like that's the thing. It's like once you break, it's like you're saying, once you break it down, it's
Yeah.
in a sense you're rationalizing your thoughts and feelings surrounding it, and like you're breaking down the why am I holding these emotions? Why am I doing this? Like in some ways you almost just forget. Like, we talked about, you never forget, but sometimes it's like, I know I have all these negatives. I know I have had these experiences, but I don't know why I'm holding on to it anymore, because it, like, it just doesn't, it
And it
doesn't
doesn't
matter when you
matter.
break. Yeah,
It
exactly.
doesn't matter. It's like you really want your friends really want you to move to a particular city. And with every fiber of your being, you do not want to move to that city. Why? Maybe you were raised there. Maybe there was trauma there. I have a city here in the United States in Connecticut. You couldn't have paid me to move to that city. Why? Because that's where my father lived.
Hmm.
My father was a number 10. So what did I do? I actually forgave the town, and I forgave all pieces of the memory. And now, will I move to that? No, of course not. Just
No,
because I forgive you doesn't mean I want a relationship with you.
exactly.
But now I could go to the town and visit and have a perfectly lovely time, and it wouldn't bother me.
Hmm.
I
No, of
could go to
course.
places I used to work and stand in front of the building, wouldn't bother me at all.
Yeah,
Absolutely wouldn't bother me. Could absolutely walk in and have a perfectly lovely time. It doesn't bother me. I've removed the emotional charge.
yeah,
So if your list includes buildings or places or towns, or don't judge the list, write it down. A friend of mine wrote down in her list when she first did it, a little red wagon. She said, Catherine, I don't remember a little red wagon. I said, don't judge the list. The little red wagon was a number 1, obviously. She forgave the little red wagon. I forgive the little red wagon. I forgive the energy around the little red wagon. She said the mantra. She tossed it. But
yeah,
some part of her brain, obviously, when she was a little kid, maybe she fell or something, or it ran over her. Who knows what happened? Don't judge the list. It's going to make you feel better.
of course.
And why? Don't judge. Don't ask yourself the whys, particularly with some things, because I disagree with a lot of people. Because I actually sometimes I think it's good to dive into these memories and remember it, and sometimes it's not.
Yeah,
So I don't always dive into my memories, because at the end of the day, I always ask myself, does it matter?
yeah, of course.
The
Yeah.
fact I'm forgiving them is what matters. I don't think I need to know the details of what happened. I just don't think, I mean, you can disagree with me, but for me personally, I'm not a big person thinking I need the details.
No, I understand and I agree, because like what that says to me is, if you dig too much deep in, if you dig too deep into the why of things, then something that is a 1 or has come off the list can easily come back onto the list, because,
Very
to
good.
go back to what we were saying, because you never forget, you'll always remember, and like, you your body has this sort of way of remembering emotions. Even if you don't care, you still remember how you felt,
Yeah.
and you get brought back to that stage again, and it becomes a vicious circle in some senses. Like,
It comes back onto the list, though.
yeah.
Don't judge that either. Put it back on the list. And instead of trying to forgive the person because they're back on the list and you're kind of pissed off about it, I know I was when it happened, pull apart the memory.
Mm-hmm.
Pull apart the pieces. Think of the memory, the reason it came back. You were triggered by somebody. Okay, pull apart the trigger. Was it a smell? Was it a place? Were you in a bake shop? Where were you? Pull that apart. I had a client did a private session with me, and she was so verbally abused by her boss. Every morning when she took a shower, she'd cry in the shower. And she wasn't able to forgive her boss because it was paying her mortgage and she needed the job. So I had her start with forgiving the shower.
Mm-hmm.
Believe it or not, that shifted the energy. And she was able to, piece by piece, pull apart the memory slowly. But it happened over time. She wasn't able to just pull apart the memory right away. But she slowly over time was able to pick apart the memory and eventually move on to another job.
Yeah, brilliant. That's incredible. I want to share with you like an example that has happened to me quite recently with a couple of old friends of mine. Now, these people are still my friends to this day, but it's sort of, in a sense, maybe goes the other way around. So, I was holding on for a long, long time to essentially the way I had acted towards these people, like growing up, like, and even up until somewhat recent times, and it was eating me up, and like I was to the point. It was like, I think it was more self. I couldn't forgive myself unless I confronted and just sort of got everything out there. And it was one of those strange things where like I was on my stag, my bachelor party before I got married last year, and I said to one of my friends, and I was never the best to him in school, like, just put it down to being a stupid kid or whatever it may be. But the fact is, these things happened, right?
Sure.
And like I just sort of opened up and I apologized for everything. And he just turns to me and goes, "I'm here now, right? You invited me to be here, right?" And I was like, "Yeah, good point." And like it was like the alleviation I got from that alone, like
Yeah.
it was a sort of like maybe it was me forgiving
Okay.
myself. Yeah. Like
Yeah.
maybe it was just because I don't feel like I needed forgiveness from these guys, but I feel like I kind
But
of
you've been
had
kicking
to.
yourself for a long time over
Yeah,
these things, and he gave you a different perspective. And it's like the fact that I'm here should tell you everything you need to know.
exactly. Yeah, and then more
He forgave
recently,
you.
yeah, like and more recently, like reached out to another friend of mine, kind of the same sort of thing, and he just like all he really had to say was like okay, none of that's true, but it sounds like you're going through some stuff.
Yeah.
And I was kind of like, and honestly, even still with that, I was like, do you know what? I feel a whole lot better about this situation now, and I feel much more comfortable and confident with my relationship with this person because I've addressed something that was eating me up more than I actually thought. Like, and it's actually it's amazing because like a lot of what you've said has like resonated with me because of these like experiences that I've had and things that I've done. It's like kind of sometimes it's like you're doing these things without actually knowing the science behind it or the reasoning behind it, but just more, it's like emotional impulse almost.
This is the first book of 3, and the next book is going to focus on how to forgive yourself, and we're writing it right now. But forgiving yourself, my answer is the same as my answer to how do you forgive the unforgivable. You're going to write a second list number 2, do
Mm-hmm.
the first one first, do this one second. But instead of writing a list of people you need to that you want to forgive, you want to write a list of people that you think need to forgive you,
Yep.
and
Interesting.
memories. And then this list is a little different because it's people that you think should forgive you for things that you shouldn't have said, and things I shouldn't have gotten into that car, and I shouldn't have said those things, and that kind of thing. And then you might have memories, that memory, I shouldn't have done that. So you're going to have a list of both memories and people probably, and places. And then you rate them from 1 to 10 and you go through them. But instead of saying, I completely forgive Andy, you're going to flip the language.
Yep. Sure.
Thank you so much. Andy completely forgives me and the energy around me. Remember, you don't have to reach out to these people. You're doing this in the privacy of your own home. But these are memories that you have that are bothering you.
Yep.
See, the people out there, they don't know you're going through this stuff, nor do they care. They're living their life. So if it's in your head, it can be forgiven. And that's the thing about forgiveness. We want this stuff out of our head. And it doesn't matter a lick if you've got a sibling who says, I can't believe that you're so mad at dad. This is easy to forgive. Well, no, it's not. It's easy for them, but not for you.
Yeah.
So due respect, I don't care about your sibling. To be honest, I care about you. If it's in your head, you can forgive it.
Yeah, of course. And no matter what's going through somebody's head at any time, it's valid, because
it is completely valid if it's in your head, and it can be forgiven and tossed.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, what one person might think is a non-issue will never ever bother them could be the exact opposite for somebody else, and that's like, it's fine, because people deal with things differently. Like, I know I have friends who, like, same age as me, early 30s, they have never had they've had bad days, but they've never had, like, it's only just bad moments. They're just blips, nothing they've never been able to let go of then and there. And kudos to them. I unfortunately fall on the opposite of that, but that's just the way things go sometimes, and like, that's totally fine. And it is interesting how the human mind works in that regard. So you mentioned as well there your latest title, Ultimate Path to Forgiveness, Unlocking Your Power. So you said this is the first of a series of 3.
Yep.
So my guess and understanding from what we've talked about, this has been inspired by your journey, going sort of way back to your early experiences.
Sure.
What was the writing process of this book like, and how does it compare to your previous titles?
My writing process is the same for all my books, to be honest. And this is a misconception that people have. They all think we write it like fiction, where it's a story, and it's like a game, and you have to have certain things. It's like playing Dungeons and Dragons. You got to have this and this, and then this happens. Nonfiction is completely different. So when I wrote my book, Rainbows and Banana Peels, which is about my cancer journey, I actually wrote it on my cell phone in a chemo chair. Wow. Mostly because I was bored. But what happened, and my books are all like this, I will have a thought and I'll have a topic and I'll come up here and I'll write it, or I'll write it on my phone. That may or may not end up to be chapter 2. It might be chapter 9. Okay. But I will sit and I will write whatever topic I want to write about, and then I will do it again. And eventually I have a book, and I always have a kind of a plan, like a topic. But I don't necessarily write it in chronological order. I put it in chronological order at the end when I'm done.
Oh, okay. Very, very good.
And I don't put a title to it until I'm done either. See, with fiction, you probably want to. You have to have a plan. But with nonfiction, it's different. So to anybody who's thinking about writing a book or anything, just start writing. Just write. And then figure out chapters and everything else later. And when are you going to know you're done? You'll know.
Solid advice, honestly. So like, take us through then your 12 books. Are they sort of in the same sort of, I don't want to categorize them when you say like nonfiction. I don't want to categorize them in a sense, but like, would you say they're self-help books?
Sort of.
It's a kind of hard one to ask and answer, isn't it? Like, how do you really genreize them?
My books are like my taste in music. It's very eclectic. I'm one of the founders of the independent concierge industry. So a lot of the books is the concierge manual, and I've got 6 versions of the concierge manual out there. And every 2 years, I had to come up with a new book as society changed and technology changed. Then I have a couple books out there that are about customer service. Because that's what being a concierge is. It's exhibiting 5-star customer service. And I retired from that industry in 2020. And then I started to write inspirational books about my cancer journey. I wrote a book on intuition called The Little Bird in Your Shoulder to teach you how to tap into intuition. And now I'm writing books about forgiveness.
So really,
you add them up, that's probably 12 somewhere.
So really, it's as you say, it's if you have a thought, you're writing it down, you're putting it to paper, and the process just flows from there.
And it may end up in the forgiveness book, or it may end up somewhere else. I have a blog. I mean, it's kind of a crapshoot where it ends up. But if I have a thought, I'll write it. I'll just pick up my phone and I'll write it on my phone, or I'll write it on the computer, and then I'll figure out where it goes later. But if you're having thoughts, just start to write. And if you don't want to write, well, there's technology today, and you don't even have to write it. You can speak it.
Yeah. Oh, exactly. Like and to go back to your point on intuition, like I feel like that's as intuitive as it gets, like, because that's the first stage of it. You're not just having a thought and big, I'll write that down when I get home. Because it's like trying to remember a dream. You remember it for like 3 seconds and then it's gone.
That's it. And it's irritating. They say you're supposed to write your dreams down and have a pad of paper and pen by your bed, but I never remember to do that either.
No.
But, everybody in the planet is intuitive. I was born intuitive with the volume turned all the way up, but everybody on the planet is intuitive. You would be human if you weren't. We see it, we feel it, we know it, you just sense it. Have you ever gone into a room and it just feels off?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it feels off. That's intuition. Have you ever, we've all done this. I knew I shouldn't have done that. I knew I shouldn't have hired them. I knew I shouldn't have gone to that party. Of course you knew. It was intuition. Everybody on the planet has it. And over time, you can learn how to do it. But the thing about anger and regret and holding a grudge and resentment is it acts like a shield and will shield your intuition. Now, that little bird in your shoulder, it's going to get through and sing its song to you. If there's a crack, it'll get through.
Mm-hmm.
But anger is a shield. And when you start to forgive even the easy ones in your life, it's going to start to dissipate that, and your intuition is going to start to come through even stronger. So for anybody who's kind of stuck right now and they think they've hit a wall, start forgiving the people in your life and then pay attention to your intuition, because it's the little bird in your shoulder knows the way you should be going.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a matter of learning how to listen to it.
Yeah, of course. Do you feel like, on the topic of intuition, that there is like a fine line between intuition and somebody's comfort zone? Because I know personally, like in my sort of experience, I've been to places and done things I'm thinking like, this is out of my comfort zone, and I can't really draw the line between should I be doing this versus is it just a case I don't want to because I'm out of my comfort zone. And it's hard to sort of dictate.
There's a fine line.
Yeah.
There's a fine line. There's a question of going into a pub and it's outside of your is it outside of your comfort zone because you're an introvert and this is an extroverted place and it's loud and you don't want to talk to anybody? Or is it out of your comfort zone because you're kind of feeling like something's going to happen? Like I shouldn't be there. That's the fine line.
Yeah.
And if you're out of your comfort zone, you could take a chance and go in. But if it continues, see, once you go over the threshold, you have a pint. See, I know the language. We don't talk. See. If you have a pint and you're with your buddies and you're starting to have fun and that feeling goes away, brilliant. But if it doesn't go away and it's still kind of, you still have that something feels wrong, might I suggest with every fiber of my being, you go to another bar. Leave, because that's probably the little bird in your shoulder.
Okay, that's interesting. Because that's something that I'd be quite an introverted person myself, but extroverted when I need to be in some aspects.
I am an extroverted introvert. That's what they call me. I was most of my life painfully shy, and I taught myself to not be shy.
Yeah,
I can turn it on and off as it will, so to speak.
Yeah, I think I kind of fall into the same category as well. There's nothing more I love than just being at home. Being at home, sitting on the sofa with my wife. That is the sort of, and it just gets to the point. It's like, do you want to go out and do this? I'm just kind of like, well, no, because
such an effort to go out.
Have to. It's like if I don't have to put on my outside voice, if I don't have to put on my work voice and deal with these people and talk to them, then I don't want to do it. Yeah, that's
it. But that's not intuition. That's just you want what you want, and that's fine.
Oh yeah,
that's just how you're wired.
Yeah,
I'm wired the same way, so I see no problem with it. In 2020, when everybody was stuck at home, Didn't bother me a bit. Completely fine with it.
Yeah, I quite liked it as well to a degree.
Yes.
Just yeah, it was just
Yeah.
something about it. I think the timing for me personally was just right for it. But
The
yeah,
extroverts, it bothered the
oh
extroverts. They
yeah,
went, I have some extroverted friends and they were crawling up walls.
it was
It
it
was
was a
hard for them.
weird time here as well because like where I live is like quite rural, and I think our earliest sort of coming out of COVID thing, well, coming out of COVID thing, the amount of lockdowns we had, but like it was like, okay, you're allowed to go out and do exercise for an hour a day. It's like, or whatever it might have been. You're allowed to go outside as long as you're outdoors, separated from people, this, that, and the other, you know?
We were told the same thing.
Yeah. And I mean, I think that was just kind of their way of, oh, we're bordering human rights violations here. So, you know, have it your way. But,
And now when you sneeze in the grocery store, I mean, I have allergies and you sneeze in the grocery store and everybody's kind of going like this. It's like, no, allergies, people, they still exist.
Yeah, it's somewhat.
You know what the brilliant thing, and nobody knows this about wearing a mask, it's not the reason you think.
Oh.
When I wore a mask, I could stick my tongue out at people and nobody would know. And when I stopped, and it was brilliant because if I was really upset at people, I could just quietly stick my tongue out at people and nobody knew I was doing it. When I took the masks off, I couldn't do it anymore because people get upset when you do that. So for that reason, I miss the masks because I could say things under my breath and mouth things and nobody knew what I was saying.
100%. As it's funny about the reactions as well that people have if you cough and sneeze around them. It's like 5 years on, it's become like a Freudian response from people to just be like, no,
sure,
you know, it's just like, or just a Pavlovian response. Sorry, I should say,
that's it.
just to be like, oh no, it's like, no, it's fine. It's chill.
Allergies, people.
Yeah, exactly. So on the topic of being around people, you mentioned you were one of the founders of the independent concierge industry. So
I am.
naturally, that involves being around a lot of people. How did you get into this industry? Like, at what point did you think this is a gap here? I could go into this and obviously turn it into something that you have over the last, I believe, 30 years.
It was a question of listening to the little bird on my shoulder I told you I'm really intuitive. And years ago, back before the turn of the century, God, it was probably like 95, something like that. I was a meeting and event planner, and there was this article in Entrepreneur Magazine about this brand new industry called the concierge industry, which has been in the hotel world for decades. But there was a group of hotel concierges that thought, if I can do this in a hotel, I can bring it to mainstream America. And they did very brilliantly. And I read the article and I said, my husband, I said, you know, we're doing more concierge work than meeting planning based on this article. Let's flip it. But there were no books, no articles, no trainers, nothing. And there may have been 20 concierge companies around in the United States. And certainly maybe one in Europe. And I think it was quintessentially, but there was none. So it was the ultimate of self-taught, and I figured out how to do it. And I figured out how to do a website because I'm a little geeky, and don't ask me to do it again. I read the Microsoft Word help file and figured out how to do a website. And I put up a rudimentary website and I won a Webby Award. Don't be impressed, because it was the first time Webby Awards were out, the very first few months, and they were giving the dumb things away just to make a name for themselves.
Still impressive. It's still impressive because you can say you won a Webby in its inaugural year, and that is an impressive feat in itself.
Month. I'm not
matter.
even sure I'm on their website. If you looked me up, I'm probably not even there. It was like the first couple months. They were literally just giving it away. So I got a website up and running. It was probably awful. And then the telephone started to ring and the email started from people saying, could I just figure out, I just need help. How do I set a fee? What do I charge? Because I was setting up independent concierge companies. And if they weren't in my city, I thought, why not? I'll give them a hand. And my husband walked into my office one day with $1 million question. He said, what are you doing? I said, well, I'm just helping them out. And he said, why are you doing it for free? Good question. So we flipped and we transitioned our company from a concierge company to a consulting company. And then the train just left the station. Eventually, I realized that there was no association for these people. So I created an independent concierge association, and everything just kind of went around now. And now you can probably find an independent concierge in almost every city around the world, worldwide. But I retired from it in 2020. Can only do it so long.
Yeah. That's incredible. Like, I love that it's your husband's intuition that kind of helped sort of
Yeah.
set the
Why are you
stage
doing it
there, you
for
know?
free?
Yeah, I love that. And
Good
like,
question.
no, and that's incredible. Like, and I'm sure, you know, when you sort of look to what it's like today, like you say, you can find an independent concierge company in every city.
Yeah.
That started
Concierge
that.
Manual is still on Amazon, still a bestseller. I retired in 2020, but it's still a good book.
Yeah.
6th and final edition. I will not be revising it again.
So
I
they
have
can
revised
figure it
that
out from
thing
there
100
themselves.
times. Nope, I'm done. But the book is still valid, still out
But
there.
like that's incredible because like that industry, which is like, you know, absolute thrive, has grown so much. That all started with you. Like
It did.
that is like that's incredible. Like honestly, I'm sure that's
It was a little bird on my shoulder that did it, and
yeah.
I'm very intuitive. I think, not to freak everybody out, but the formal definition is I'm clairaudient and clairvoyant. And when I was sitting and we were reading the article, that's when my gut just told me this was the direction to go. My husband's kind of intuitive. And then I thought, and then I heard, well, you should write a book. Never written a book before, but I was a good writer because in college and university, if the exam didn't have an essay on it, I was kind of sunk because I could always pull the A out because I was a good writer. And I could always, even if I hadn't read the book, I could always, what's the word I'm looking for? I could spin a yarn, shall we say. And it's when I heard you should write a book, I just said, I must be crazy. But that's what happened. I wrote a book, and that book led to another, which led to another. So when your intuition tells you to do something, your first knee-jerk reaction is, gosh, I can't do that. Well, how do you know? And if you ask the question that everybody says, well, why me? Well, why not you?
Exactly.
Do it. Write the
100%.
book. Do the podcast. Try being a speaker. Go for that job. Why not you?
Exactly. Like, I certainly don't think people should if anybody feels like they're being held back by they don't fit the criteria in
I
quotations,
didn't either.
then that blocker is only coming from within. You
Yeah,
are
I was a
you are the
woman.
blocker. It's not.
I was a woman in kind of a sexist world. We're not going to get into it, but kind of was.
Yeah, I will.
And I had a
100%
college
agree.
education, but I didn't have a master's or a PhD. I didn't have any letters behind my name, but I figured out how to be a concierge and teach it. And it was self-taught, completely self-taught.
And like, it just goes to show you can do it. You want to do it, you can do it.
I can teach you 100% 5-star customer service in 30 seconds or less. Instead of saying you're welcome, and you're over in Europe, so it's easier for Europeans, not so easy for Americans. But here in the United States, they say you're welcome a lot.
Mm-hmm.
All you have to do is flip it out, switch it out to "it was my pleasure."
Okay.
Those few little words. This is a true story. When I went through cancer, I had to go through a lot of chemo, and one of the chemos was this bright red stuff that was supposed to hurt your heart. My heart is fine, but every 6 months I had to go to the hospital and have the heart tests and all that kind of stuff. So when we first went, this woman checked us in, robotic. She was not even dressed properly, and she was robotic. And okay, I love a challenge. And so I cracked a few jokes, and her armor got a few cracks in her armor. And we just went in and we became friends, and I got her to smile, and I thought, I got it. And then I just told her two things. I said, I can't help myself, but all you have to do is smile more and switch out "you're welcome" for "it was my pleasure."
Mm-hmm.
I swear that's all I did. Fast forward 6 months. My husband and I are sitting in the waiting room. She comes flying out of her office. Miss Giovanni, really want to check you in. Okay, I don't care who checks me in. I don't want to be here. So we walk in. This is a changed woman. She is warm, friendly, approachable. She's dressed really well. She's smiling. She pulls the chair out for me. She's like a different person. And she said, I did what you said. I started smiling more, and I started saying it was my pleasure. After a few weeks, my supervisor noticed, and now I'm the manager of the entire
Oh
department.
wow, incredible! I
So
yeah, that's
that's a true story.
amazing. Because when you flip those two phrases, "You're
Mhm.
welcome" is like kind of, it almost sounds obligatory, versus "my
Yep,
pleasure," which is "I enjoyed." And like
exactly.
I've worked in customer service too before, and it's one of those things where customer service is like, it's one of those really weird two-way streets. You get difficult people behind a counter and difficult people on the other side,
Yes, you
and
do.
like,
Both ways.
and both will remember each other for entirely different reasons,
Yep.
and it's just who gets over the negative experience first. And it's usually, I think it's usually the customer, to be honest with you.
My mantra, my personal mantra for the good last 35 years is I try and leave people better than I find them.
Yeah, I
Period.
have so much respect for
No
that.
matter where I am, try and leave people better than I find them. It
Mhm.
does, even if I'm in the grocery store and there's some person in front of me and I'll compliment something
Yeah,
about them. Doesn't matter what it is. I try and always leave people better than I find them.
of course. And I think in customer service that's like such an important thing, because I mean, I don't know what it's like in the States as such, but here, uh, most people who work in customer services, they don't want to. They
No, they
don't
don't.
want to. And they make the mistake of showing the customer that they don't want to be there.
It's like a
And
complaint department. It's not customer service. It should be called the
exactly.
complaint department. That would be better.
Yeah.
That would be a better thing to call them.
Yeah, exactly. And it's one of those things where they will always remember every customer that walks through there, because there will be based on whatever the interaction is. And it's like a make or break thing for their day at times. If you are pleasant to them, if you almost take them by surprise in like the sort of, not like kill them with kindness kind of way, but like just oh, you look good today, or oh
Yeah,
yeah, this, that, and the
simple.
other, just something just against the grain, if you will. They'll remember that, because I definitely remember a lot of pleasant customer interactions I had whenever I worked in customer service, and it was amazing. Like, it was, honestly, it was just like, you know what, that little 2 minute interaction, that outshone all of the absolute asses I had to deal with that day. And it's
Americans have this horrible thing that we do. I have no idea. I've been to Europe, and it's been a while since I've been over there. But Americans, they'll say, "Hi, how are you?"
mhm.
They don't want an answer. The reply is, "Hi, how are you?" That's the greeting. Nobody wants an answer. "Hi, how are you?" "Hi, how are you?" It's stupid. So if you're going to ask me how I am, I'm going to answer you. I'm going to become one of the seven dwarfs. I'm going to say grumpy, sleepy, dopey. I'm hungry. It's cold out. And I get the most crazy replies, and I get a smile.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'll say, "Hi, how are you?" And they'll say, "Good." And I'll just level them a look, and I'll say, "Good. That's all I get. You're not great." And you get a smile immediately. So if you want to change somebody's life and you get that stupid greeting from an American, flip it immediately.
The same goes for
I
here
don't,
too. Like, the
yeah.
same
Do
goes
you
for
say
here.
that over there
So
too?
people, yeah, people here will say, "Hi, how are you?" And like, it's one of those things. I think they expect the answer,
They
because
don't want to
that's,
know how you are.
well, I think it's just what they're like told to say,
Great.
as
How are
as
you?
a way of kind of like initiating small talk for.
Exactly.
And I mean,
So
at the
you
end,
guys don't want the answer either.
I mean, yeah, I mean, if I'm behind a counter, I really don't care. Like, it's
Exactly.
you just want to
Which
get
is why,
rid of them as quick as
I
possible.
usually I say, I'm cold today. And it just, I mean, it completely, it's so out of the left field. They just kind of turn and say,
Hmm.
"What?" I mean, it's like, you answered me. Well, you asked.
Yeah, yeah. And it's a I think it's a weird like cultural thing, because like,
Yeah.
now I don't work in customer service. Like, I work in financial services now, and which is arguably much worse.
I was gonna say
But
worse.
oh god, but there's this whole kind of it's like a dog eat dog industry, right, for a start. But like that aside, um, a lot of the times people will like start their emails off with "Hi, hope you're well." It's like, no, you don't. You don't care. You just
What if I'm not well? That
yeah,
might piss me off.
yeah, exactly. And it's like sort of like, I, I mean, it's one of them things
I
where
hope this
like
email finds you and your family well. Hmm.
it's like, yeah,
We're not.
the worst one I ever got was during COVID. I was remote working, so I still worked all through the pandemic. Oh my god. Hope you are feeling positive and testing negative. I was just like, no, I'm now feeling negative, and I hope I test positive. Oh my god, that was the worst thing I've ever heard in my
That was
goddamn
the
life.
worst. That was the worst greeting I think I've ever heard. To
I
be honest,
know, right? And
I mean that's all.
that's the sort of stuff that people came out with during then. There's like this kind of like weird culture of pleasantries when like absolutely nobody cares. And it's like to go back to like the customer service chat, like where you can engage in that kind of small talk, like, you know, for the minute, 2 minutes that, you know, you're sort of ringing up your groceries. But it just makes me think, like, you know, in my industry, if I get an email that says hope you're doing well, what would happen if I was to just turn around and be like, actually, I'm not, and here is a list of reasons. I
And
would
here's my
just
story. Yeah,
it would just absolutely send everything
you
into
should probably do
haywire.
that someday,
And
just be for the entertainment value.
temptation is there, I swear to God.
Or the people who want my business, but they call me by my wrong name.
Oh,
Okay, if you don't get my name right in an email, I'm sorry. I know you're a bot, and I'm not going to answer it.
oh yeah, 100%. 100%. It's
Yeah.
actually funny because I got a message on Podmatch about a month ago, and it said, "Hi Keith," and I'm like, "Okay."
Gee,
Yeah. I was just like,
okay.
yeah, cool. I'm not Keith,
Okay.
but that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know, my only business tip for people is I know people want to automate and that kind of thing, but make sure that, you know, if I'm going to automate something, I'm not going to go dear first name, last name, because it may not be the right name. You might
Yeah.
maybe even dear friend would be better than calling me by the wrong name.
Oh yeah. And even at that as well, if you say dear first name, last name, it could literally translate and you send a message that says dear first name, last name. Like,
I've gotten messages like that.
have you?
I'd rather you called me friend.
Yeah, like it's it makes me laugh sometimes, honestly.
And
Like,
sometimes they call me dear Ron, which is my husband's name. It's like, really? Okay. I'm really not going to answer you. And neither
yeah.
will he, more than likely.
Oh no.
I'm
And like,
glad you guys are kind of similar to us over here. That's good.
there's yeah, so like the only sort of difference in terms of that would be like in hospitality, like definitely not as friendly here in hospitality than they are in the States.
I live in the South. They're a little bit over the top.
Yeah, see, they
Here's
don't
the
really.
difference. Here's the difference between Northerners and Southerners in the United States. And I lived in New York for 30 plus years, and I've lived in the South for 30 plus years. So I'm both.
Mhm.
If somebody from New York wants to say something disrespectful to you, they're going to put it at the beginning of the sentence. So they're going to say, with all due respect, and then they're going to verbally punch your lights out. Southerners are brilliant. They put it at the end of the sentence.
Mhm.
And they can get away with murder. They'll look at you and say things and they're very polite. They don't want to hurt people's feelings, but they'll look at you and they'll say, your baby's as ugly as a stump, bless his little heart. If you hear a bless your heart from a Southerner, think
Oh,
really hard what they said before the bless your heart, because I guarantee you it was not nice.
yeah. I think
And you
there's
won't even realize it.
yeah, I think there's like a couple of things, like a couple of reasons why they might be able to get away with it. I think the first thing
Oh,
is the
Southerners are
accent.
brilliant.
Like the accent certainly has to help for a
Yep,
start,
it does.
but then also like it's putting it at the beginning of the sentence. It's like mentally you're prepared for something. It's like when someone says no offense to you, which is like the
Same thing. With
dumbest
all due
thing in the
respect,
world.
no offense, and you're
Yeah.
digging your heels in, and you're like, okay, bring it. I know
Yeah.
it's coming. Come
It's like
on, bring it.
subconsciously, like you already have your backup as if something bad is going to be said here, or you're going to
I
have to
know.
argue back. And then if they say it at the end, it's like, um,
Sneaky.
yeah, it's just, it's endearing almost. Like, because they say it here, it's like, oh, this, that, and the other, God love them, that kind of thing. You say
Yeah,
that here.
exactly. It's
Yeah.
the same
And it's
thing.
always at
God
the
love 'em.
end. Always at the end. And
Well, I'm from New York City, so I'm a big fan of putting it at the beginning of the sentence because that's where I was raised. But I use "bless your heart" for the powers of good.
Mhm.
It's like it's like a Star Wars kind of thing. I don't use it in a bad way. I usually say it for positive.
Of
Bless your heart
course.
in a good way.
Of course, that's the best part about like having sort of lived in both and having the best of both
Yeah.
worlds in that sense. Yeah, of course.
Yeah. I have been known to say with all due respect too. So there you go. Not a long time.
Yeah. So on the topic then of like concierge industry and like customer service in
Mhm.
general, like I'm just curious how, if at all, did this link in with your then path for forgiveness? Because obviously there are two separate things. And when you're talking about forgiveness, you know, you go off like say your personal experiences, but then surely there must have been like an overlap between your ventures and then the idea of forgiveness as well, especially in a people facing role, of course.
I taught workshops all over the world, including one in Scotland, and that was fun. Um, it's hard to understand some of the Scots when their brogue gets really hard. I had the hardest time understanding what some of them were saying.
Yeah.
Anyways, it's very hard to teach somebody. I can teach you the most beautiful words to say. I can teach you how to dress. I can teach you all of these things, the tricks and all of that. But if you're angry, it's going to bleed through your body language, whether you want it to or not. And unless you're a world-class actor, you're not going to be able to stop it.
Yeah.
And your customers are going to see it. So I had to come up with a way that people could forgive and get over their anger on a dime, because most concierge are in a hotel or they're at a kiosk and they can't leave their station. And they've got another customer right behind them. So I had to come up with some really quick and dirty ways to get them to lose their anger. And then I kept going and I taught this in business workshops, which back in those days, you didn't teach soft topics. It wasn't done. I did it because it was the only way. Teaching people forgiveness and some of these tricks was the only way I could think of to have them. If you're angry at a customer, and it happens, it was the only way I could think of to get them to lose that anger so they can go on to the next customer. And that's how it segued. And then from there, when I got out of the industry, then I got really hardcore into forgiveness. And my partners and I developed the 7-point system that we have today.
Mm. Yeah, of course. And like customer service is a sort of forgiveness and sort of inner peace is a fundamental part of it. Like having been at the forefront of it, you kind of need to. That's why they say you need to put on your
Breathe.
customer voice. You need to, yeah, you need to like put on a happy
Breathe.
face and all, and just breathe. It's
Well, the thing about it is, if you're in that situation, the only tips I can give you is if you have a chance to just turn your back on these people and take 3 big breaths, that's great.
Mhm.
Another thing you could do is just think of the happiest time of your life. I'm not kidding. Maybe your last vacation, maybe your wedding. I don't care what it is, and just sit in that memory for 30 seconds. Now, here comes something that absolutely is liberating and it works, but you can't do it in front of people. It has been proven in science, because I looked it up, that dogs don't get PTSD.
Oh,
They don't, because they shake. You ever see when a dog stands up, it shakes? And
yeah.
cat, all the animals, they kind of all shake. They literally, like Taylor Swift says, they shake it off. Well, in Qigong and Tai Chi and all of these kinds of modalities, shaking is you're literally shaking the energy off. So if you're in a bad situation, don't do this in front of. Shaking your body, your arms, your legs is literally going to shake off that negative energy. So if you're standing there in front of a customer, you're in the airport or something, you've got another customer behind, shake out your legs, shake your arms, because people won't think you're crazy. They'll just think that your hand fell asleep. Just shake out your arms, shake out your legs, and I promise you, strangely, you will feel better. You're going to feel kind of renewed a little bit.
Of course.
And if you can walk away and shake, go into the ladies' room or the men's room, because people are going to think like you're an idiot. If you're walking around looking like an idiot and you're shaking all the parts of your body, they're going to look at you and they're going to want to give you medicine or something and say there's something really wrong with you. But if you just shake out your arms and your legs, it is a really brilliant way of getting rid of that stress in the moment, because dogs do it and it works for them.
Yeah, amazing. I think that is something I'm 100% going to try out myself, because
It really
I know
does
there are
work.
times, and like for anybody listening, I would definitely leave it in the comments. Leave it in the comments of this podcast. If you give this a go, let us know how you feel about it, how it made you feel, what the situation was, and how this advice has worked for you, because that is incredible.
And if you're shaking and you're shaking all parts of the body and people look at you like you're an idiot, just say, Catherine made me do it.
Exactly.
I was told to do this. I promise you feel better. Dogs, cats, elephants, they all shake.
Yeah.
You see them they see them in nature.
Mm-hmm. And the thing
Right.
is as well, it's okay to cite you for this because you're a professional. So like it's totally fine. Yeah.
You can blame me. It's fine.
Catherine, it has been an absolute pleasure having you on Behind the Camera with Andy Games. Thank you so much for taking the time, sharing your stories, your experiences, and just having a good old chat. Just that is honestly why I do this, just sort of for these reasons, and it has been absolutely incredible having you on. Just one last thing, just for the listeners, viewers, where can we find you?
You can find me at my website, and my first name, thanks to my mother, is spelled a little odd. Thanks, Mom. And it's KatharineGiovanni.com, and Katharine is spelled Katharine, Giovanni.com. All my books can be found on Amazon. And the last couple books, we have the audiobook, the ebook, and the paperback available for you, because I know not everybody likes to read.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Catherine. And the link to your website will be in the description of the podcast as well once it comes out. And once again, thank you so much for your time, Catherine. It has been an absolute pleasure having you on the show.
Thanks so much. I appreciate it.
And there you have it. That was my conversation with Katharine Giovanni. I personally took so much away from our chat. Being somebody who has never really truly understood forgiveness myself, it was amazing to get those insights into how to forgive, as opposed to just why should we. I certainly believe there was a lot for those listening to take from this too. Katharine is such an inspiration, and personally, thank you so much for all of your insights and for your lovely chat. As always, this has been Behind the Camera with Andy Games. I've been your host, Andy Games. If you enjoyed what you heard today, any and all likes, comments, subscriptions, follows, and reviews are all hugely appreciated and do go a long, long way. We will be back soon with another installment of Behind the Camera with Andy Games, but until then, peace.